All right, good morning, everyone. Good to see you here on the middle of April. Driving in, we saw some people have grass in Potsdam, which was nice, like green grass by the high school. That's the high school on Leroy Street, right? Green grass. We still have snow in Parrishville. You think I'm joking, but there are little patches of snow in Parrishville still. And but anyway, something to look forward to. But and I do realize. Check the audio, please. I do realize that it's Palm Sunday, is it not? If you look at Bibles, it'll say the triumphal entry. And others call it Palm Sunday, of course, because of what happened on that day. Okay, nice and clear, no hissing. I don't ever feel obligated to hit holidays or anything like that. I feel obligated to do what God wants us to do. There's a lot of interesting things you could talk about in the triumphal entry. Let me hit that for a second. This is something Larry would like. If you open up the book of Daniel, Daniel's a prophet of the Lord. Daniel starts praying, and Daniel gets a vision. And Daniel gets some intense stuff going on. There's spiritual warfare going on surrounding the conversation with Daniel. Literally, the messenger angel comes and says, "We heard you since day one, but we've been resisted by the prince of Persia." There's another entity that's resisting the answer to this prayer. There's spiritual warfare over top of you. Wow, that is a big deal. There are things going on in the heavenly realms. Long story short, Daniel is given a timeline. Now, years ago, if you want to get on, oh geez, Facebook's deleting all our old videos. Well, I was going to say there's one, I brought up the whiteboard probably 8 years ago, and I said, Daniel said, so many days. They were going off a 360-degree calendar. I literally did the math and said, so Daniel is saying that there's a specific day when you can expect that whoever the Messiah is, he's going to ride into the holy city on that day. And we did the math out of the book of Daniel. It was the exact day Yeshua of Nazareth rode into Jerusalem. Do you understand what I just said to you? That's why I'm always saying the Bible is outside of our space and time. I won't bore you with that because, again, I've done it before, and you can find smarter people than me doing that, doing it with better math and stuff. But Daniel knew exactly. And if you look in the Gospels, the disciples keep saying, Jen, they're like, are we going to go to Jerusalem? Anybody who wants to be heard, of course, that's the major city, right? Like, hello. And he's like, no, my time's not yet come. My time's not yet come. Because, the thing is, the whole Bible is designed outside of time. This all happened before humans were even born. Does that make sense? Like, this was decided and all that outside of time. So Jesus just needed to do exactly what he had planned to do. And so he rides in on the foal of a donkey. This is ridiculous. Anyway, so that's pretty amazing. That's a whole message in and of itself. Can you imagine the book of Daniel 1,000 years earlier tells you? And then you wonder sometimes why, when you read the Gospels, Jesus is holding them to the standard where they were supposed to know. John chapter 3, is it? Nicodemus walks up to Jesus. Nicodemus is the superintendent of the religious schools. That's the best analogy I can make, okay? He's teaching all the teachers. Jesus goes, don't you know this? You're supposed to know this. Even Nicodemus goes, what do you mean be born again? You can't go back into your mom and be born again. And Jesus doesn't cut him any slack. He's like, buddy, I told you in the Old Testament, I'll give you a new heart, a heart of flesh and not a stone. The being born again process is detailed. You're supposed to know this. Isn't that interesting? Listen, too much is given, much is required. Let me touch on that for a second. I don't have it for you today. And I'm sorry if I assume you know, but I'll do this. When Jesus does ride into Jerusalem, which of course sparks the beginning of the end of his earthly ministry, right? A week later, he is crucified, roughly. When he rides into Jerusalem, before he does this, some of you haven't heard this, at least 4 of you, so I'm going to spend a couple minutes on this. When he rides into Jerusalem, before he does, he says, in the Gospels, he says to his disciples, go to the certain spot, you're going to find a donkey, and you're going to find a donkey with a baby, a foal. Tell them the master needs it. And they're going to give you the animals. First off, let's stop right there. What? Time out. Like, don't skip over this stuff in your Bible. How did he know it was going to be there? I'll answer that for you, because he's God. How did the people know to have the donkey and the baby donkey ready? That's a good question, isn't it? Come on, guys, get it? How'd they know to have a donkey born that would be the foal of a donkey at that time? Think about this. Well, I already just told you. Daniel knew exactly when he was going to be there. Daniel was the head of the Magi, which would be the magicians of the time. And so did Daniel not pass it down through the years? On this very day, you've got to have a 6-month-old foal of a donkey. Make sense? And, Rhonda, you know what a foal is? A foal is anything under 2 years old. So they go and say, was it a magic phrase? I don't mean magic, but was it a phrase? The master has needs of this? Like there must have been something to communicate to that donkey owner, this is the guy, this is the real deal, right? Like there's probably something traveling down hundreds of years for this to happen. And be ready for the king. And so last year I taught you something cool. I taught you this. Ready? He goes and gets the donkey. Doesn't ride the donkey, Jen. He rides the baby. Which, by the way, is illegal in every state in the union. Because you'll kill the donkey. How big is a 2-year-old donkey? 2-year-old or less? Small. You can't have them carry weight. It'll break their spine. Now, how come nobody realized that? How come I didn't realize that for 30-something years, 40-something years? Why does Jesus ride the foal of a donkey? Number one, he rides a donkey because if he rode in a horse, that's symbolic that he's riding in for war or for conquering. Everybody knew that, and he wasn't the first to do it. In other words, Jen, other people who'd conquered the Jews, they ride in on horses. And the people go meet him, and they prostrate themselves going, please be good to us, please. There's even such things where if he rode in on a white horse, it was this. If he rode in on a black horse, it was this. I don't know that well enough to teach you, and I don't want to teach an ear, but I'll tell you this. Jesus rides in on a servant animal. What does that communicate? I'm not here to conquer. I'm here to serve. Put a pin in that. We're going to touch on that today. But he doesn't ride in on the donkey. He rides in on the foal of a donkey. Now, how come that never occurred to me that was a supernatural event? How come it never occurred to me that what we're listening to talk about was a miracle? Probably because I've never tried to ride a baby donkey. Get it? And I'm not particularly a large man. I only weigh 210. But I would kill a foal of a donkey. I would snap its spine. Jesus is a full-grown 30-year-old Jewish man. Not only does he ride it, but read the texts. They put their cloaks on the donkey. And he rides it. Do you know how heavy the overcoats were of Jewish men back in the time? It was their protection against the wind and the rain, and they had no heaters, and they had no air conditioners. So you're talking proper cloaks. Can I tell you something? The cloaks themselves probably would have been too much for the foal of a donkey. But we've just read it all these years, haven't we? We've seen the pictures. We've just read it. We don't understand that Jesus is probably showing mastery over gravity again. Again? Yeah, he's the same one who walked on water. He's the same one who later will ascend. He shows either mastery or not being not being a slave to the law, quote unquote, of gravity. He shows something, doesn't he? But if my theory were correct, Larry, the people would probably freak out, right? They do. Everyone in the city sees this happening, and they run and go, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and they put palm branches down. But why? He'd been preaching the whole time. Like, he'd been speaking in synagogues, and they knew his reputation, but nobody threw them. The whole city never threw him at his feet. Could it be that, going down right in front of Macy's there in New York City, here's the equivalent. That's one of the most populous capitals in the world at the time, correct? Riding down whatever that road is, in front of Macy's, you've got a man who's riding on a baby donkey and not killing it. And the donkey seems fine. Would that not be something like, oh my gosh, this is... And by the way, riding into Jerusalem is a declaration. So guess what? They say something. They say, Hosanna, there you go. No. Next. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Next slide, please. That's not just any old phrase. Blessed is he who comes, yes, through the prophet Daniel. When they say Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, that was a specific phrase that was taught in the Old Testament about this is what you say when you see Mashiach Nagid. When the Messiah, the King, comes, you all shout, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Do you understand? So when they said, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, they were proclaiming him Messiah. What do the Jews do when they hear it? They go, stop them from saying that. Stop them from saying that special phrase, because you're not the Messiah. Jesus turns in one of the Gospels and goes, if they were silent, the rocks would cry out. There you go. Notice the quotes? Notice the quotes around everything? They're not just quoting, well, then he said this. They're quoting that it's a quote. Do you understand what I'm saying? Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, Hosanna in the highest. So what did that just tell you? What did that just tell a Hebrew man or woman? Let's say you're in the next town over, Larry. Did they all say it when that guy wrote in? Hey, Rhonda, I heard that Wendy and the group went, and everybody was shouting, Hosanna. No way. What? They were shouting Hosanna? Like, yeah, they were. No way. We missed it. That must mean Messiah's here. That's what's really happening in the triumphal entry. Not only is he probably levitating over a donkey, everybody sees it and reacts to that that miracle that's happening, but they connect all the dots and they label him Messiah. All right, I want to teach you something. This is kind of... I'm going to give this to you, and then I want you to go with yourself. If you look at the tone, take the book of Matthew, Larry. If you look at the tone, Jesus teaches in understandable language for like the first quarter or half of it. There's a specific time, and I'll have to do more research to be able to give you this. There's a specific time, though, where from that moment on, he only speaks in parables. And they ask him, Lord, why are you teaching in parables? And he says, because it's for some to blah, 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 blah. There is a moment. Does anybody know what the unforgivable sin is? Jesus says there is a sin, a blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. All other sins will be forgiven men, but not this one. You got a good grip on what that is? Because I think you should know. I've gone to churches where they threaten you with it. And they say, how do you know you ain't been the one that done that? And of course, my guilty conscience will be like, I'm sure I have. I'm sure I have. I'm not joking. I've never been the type of person who's like, I'm good. I'm always the person who's like, no, it's definitely me. It's definitely me. That's my personality. But what's cool is great Cliffside Community Chapel up in Anchorage and other good scholars believe there's a time when the nation of Israel looks Jesus in his face and they collectively decide the things you're doing are not of God. You're doing it by the power of Satan. Or they actually say Beelzebub. The rejection of the Jewish Messiah by the Jews is the unpardonable sin. It can't be done today, says Stephen Chronister. It can only be done by the nation of Israel to its rightful king. They reject the rightful king, or the good shepherd, and they call him the wicked shepherd, and they give the glory to the darkness for the good that he was doing. Now, why do I say that? Why do I say that? Because you think by the triumphal entry, that's it, that's our Mashiach Nagid, long live, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. You'd think that this is a great, wonderful moment, right? A week or so later, they have him murdered. And it is murder, by the way, because it's self-driven, an innocent man. So this is a wonderful portrait, in my opinion. This is such a strong statement. This is a wonderful portrait of what should have been, but actually never was. Because this wasn't real. Oh, this is such a strong statement. I'm nervous. It's what I feel like God is saying, but I've never heard this before. This wasn't real. It wasn't real. The people did not actually crown him as Mashiach Nagid. They reacted to something, and it's a portrait of what should have been, and actually, you ready for this? It's a portrait of what will be. Time out. The first time he comes riding a donkey, he came to serve. If Audrey opens up the Gospels, Jesus is serving people. He willfully drinks the cup. He willfully, right? He's in his servant role. That time, my friends, has ended. He's in his high priest role. The next time you see him, or any human eyes see him, he will be in the king's role. He will be in his king role. He will not be coming on a donkey. He will literally be coming on a white horse with a sword of fire, with his armies behind him. So this is a portrait of what should have been. All people should have been. You, yes, you are the great creator. We recognize you. We turn. We embrace you. Now, have we seen that anywhere? Always make sure you have an Old Testament counterpart to a New Testament idea. Nineveh. Nineveh is a perfect example. God says to, what's his name? Jonah. Go preach against Nineveh. Tell them they're going to be destroyed unless they turn around. Jonah does his thing. He dies in the mouth of a fish. Jonah is not saved. Jonah will tell you, in the depths, I heard the Lord and he raised me. Jesus will tell you, the only sign you're going to get, wicked generation of Jews, you're going to get the sign of Jonah, who was in the belly of this fish for 3 days and then rose again. Guys, I don't believe God chose to, he can, but I don't believe God chose to have him swallowed up with a fish with that amount of oxygen and water to provide for Jonah. Jonah died and rose again. God rose him from the dead. Jesus parallels what he's about to do with this story. Come on, anybody? I believe Jonah was puked up, skin white as bleach from the whale, dead, and God rose him again. And that was a sign Jesus later quotes. But ready for this? Oh my gosh, look at these parallels. Jonah goes to Nineveh, and he says, Yahweh ain't playing around. Yahweh ain't playing around. Turn the page. That's not what it says. That's AJ's version of the Bible. Yahweh's not messing, bro. And you know what they do? They say, we welcome you, we take you. And you know what? They're spared. There's your portrait of that. There's your portrait of that. You get it? But anyway, so the triumphal entry. That's what happened on the triumphal entry, in my opinion. Now, I wanted to parallel that with something else. Oh, I know what I want to do. Why would Israel reject the coming king? Why would they do that? Why would they have the book of Daniel? Why would they have Isaiah, Elijah? Why would they have all this? And then he shows up. Remember I told you a few weeks ago, he's even casting actual demons out of deaf and mute spirits out of people, right? And the Jews could never do that because they always said the entity had to say its name so they could invoke authority over them. And I'm not even saying that's wrong. That's just the way they did it. And so Jesus shows up and goes, get out. They should have known. Clearly, that's another thing they were held accountable for. Only God could do that. Get it? That's the truth. But why? This time of year, it's a great question to ask. Why did Israel reject Jesus? I think there's amazing lessons we can learn about this. Theologically, see, this is tough, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Jesus was slain before the foundations of the world, the Bible says. In other words, God being outside of time always knew this is what he would have to do or choose to do to redeem you and me. He knew this. When he created humans, he did not create evil. That's a Calvinistic idea that I believe is so offensive and blasphemous that I hate to even give it time. God is not the creator of evil. God is the creator of free will. Out of free will can come evil. But out of free will also can come love and charity and goodness. I'll take it a step further. Only in the environment of freedom can love actually come. If I walk up to Donna and I put a gun to her head and say, you will love me, that's not love, is it? Whatever molecules make up love, freedom has to be a part of that. People have to choose love and charity and goodness and grace and mercy and all that, right? So just because God created this thing that might have that byproduct does not make him the direct creator of it. So this whole idea of God created evil is a wicked, wicked thought. Do you understand? Let me say something hard here. If you're a new believer, or even if you're not, you haven't asked the hard questions, why does God allow suffering? Why did God allow that person to hurt you? I will tell you. Because in order to do what we were meant to do, which is be his imagers, we need to be free. Free to choose wickedness and free to choose goodness. And I'm sorry your dad chose wickedness against you. I'm sorry your ex-husband chose wickedness against you. I am. Don't turn and indict God, because that's not a fair complaint. God, how dare you create free will, which I enjoy every day. And I would be mad at you if you took from me. In fact, I'm mad when you tell me even how I'm supposed to live, Lord. But I'm not going to indict you for what other people did with the gift you gave them. Do you understand that? Boy, I wish more pastors had the gagones to tell you that. Because I've had to sit there and say that to people who've been severely victimized. But you know what? Nobody's ever been mad at me for that. It's helped them understand. If God stopped that guy from doing what he did to you, he would have to stop you every time you hurt anybody else. Come on. This is the creator of the cosmos, the ultimate judge. If you're bitter that you've been hurt, you need to understand something. It wasn't God who hurt you. And if he were to take away that person's free will and interrupt that choice, he would literally have to do it to all of us. It would have to be a cosmic law or a parameter. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, there are some times God interrupts. I know that. And we say, well, Lord, you've sent an angel before. You've stopped. I get it. But let's not indict God for what he created as a gift that people then warped. And I hope that helps you heal more than it corrects you. Okay? Why? Why did they reject Jesus? Same reason we do. And it's this. He's not the one we want him to be. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. We'll start right where I just ended that last sentence. There's a lot of people who reject God because he's not the one who kept Dad from hurting them. I don't want you, Jesus, because you didn't keep my uncle from doing that to me. You didn't get it? I'm not joking. There's a guy named Hitchens. I forget what his name is. First name, I don't even care. Christopher Hitchens used to travel the world and with his, lovely British accent, used to tear down every argument against Christianity. He would, and he sounded so good doing it that people would stand there like this, right? We have a problem. I want you, if you're ever bored, go to crossexamined.org. Frank Turek and the gang. There's a guy who was a forensic detective. He now forensically detectives Christianity. J. Warner Wallace. And after Frank Turek toured with Christopher Hitchens for years, if Christopher Hitchens was honest, this is what he would say. God's not real, and I hate him. Hear me? God's not real, and I hate him. Why, Christopher? Why? And I can't speak for him. He's dead now, so he knows. He's actually face to face, and he's reaping what he's sown. Trying to convince people that Jesus isn't real and tell people, blah, blah. He's going to answer for that. He is answering for that now. Christopher, I think it's the fact, you know you're created deep down. I think it's the fact you don't like the way God does things. Because maybe your dad died when you were young. Can I be honest with you? That people don't have a problem with Jesus necessarily. They might not like the marriage thing. They might not like the fact that men can't become women, women can't become men. That's a lie from the pit of hell, literally designed around the Baphomet, who's transgendered. Go look at that statue. Whenever it has both parts, it's a demon. Isn't that funny? We could go off on that. You wonder why that's the agenda. It's the truth. You might not like that, but you ain't going to hate Jesus for it, usually. No, you don't want to know why most people hate Jesus and why they rejected him like this? Because he doesn't do things the way we want him to do things. Does it make sense? You didn't protect me. You didn't make me rich. You didn't make people love me. He still broke my heart. It's a very personal thing, usually. And everybody in this crowd had a different reason. Now, let's step out a minute, Larry. One of the reasons the corporation of the Jews didn't accept him was because he wasn't who they wanted him to be, which is the conquering king freeing them from Rome. That's what they wanted. The guy was putting withered hands right. A man born blind. Do you know what it means when you're born blind? Your eyes probably aren't formed. And I won't go off into the great details, but Jesus touches his eyes and bam, they work. Don't you think they looked at him and went, now this will be the guy that gets us out of slavery? Because we're suffering. Jesus, be the king, man. Be Messiah. End our suffering. And when Jesus says, I'm going to end your suffering eternally, but I'm not going to end what's going on here in your life right now, they said, well, then forget you then. In fact, you know what they chanted? Barabbas, Barabbas. Give us a known murderer rather than this guy who won't do things our way. You got all this power, and you won't use it to bring me a spouse? You got all this power, and I've still got arthritis. You've got all this power and nobody loves me. I'm still stuck in this crappy job. You got all this power and our government's in shambles. What do you want me to do here? You got all this power and I'm still hurting because my husband died. You see what I'm saying? And by the way, just because I'm me in my typical fashion, I'm not coming at you. The reason I have good understanding of this material is because I am this material. This is absolutely my story. I've told you this before. I started taking God seriously. I believe I was saved at 17 years old because I asked Jesus, look, I need you, Jesus, as my Savior. I want the blood of Christ to cover my sins. I believe at that day I hired him as Savior. I didn't hire him as Lord because I still did things my way. I dated my way. I did money my way. I treated my body my way. I treated other people my way. That's a big deal to God. I don't know if you know that, the way you treat other people. But around 25 years old or so, come on, AJ, I can do this. I just lost it. 25 or so is when I started taking God seriously. There it is. I started taking God seriously. But we have a problem, Larry. The God that I knew, the Jesus I knew, was Joel Osteen's Jesus. Health, wealth, and good-looking people. I'm not joking. And I don't even want to slander Joel Osteen. He's a brother, I'm sure. He loves Jesus. But I literally received a Jesus who wanted me healthy, wealthy, and people always to like me. I'm not joking, man. I really believe that. I even memorize phrases like, I am more than a conqueror through Christ who gives me I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I shall trample scorpions and snakes. Greater is he who's in me than he who's in the world. I could keep going, guys. And by the way, all those things are true in context of the whole counsel of God. In this world there will be trouble, but fear not, I've overcome the world. Where does that fit into Joel Osteen's ministry? And I'm not trying to pick on the guy, because it's in Joyce Meyer's ministry too, and T.D. Jakes' ministry, and everybody you turn on. The successful people are the people, Benny Hinn, they're promising you a Jesus that doesn't exist. A Jesus that you will pay for. A Jesus you will tolerate. Are you following me? I know I'm in this, but we're rolling. God's talking here, man. And I ate it up. So in 2003, when my world fell apart, the girlfriend and I broke up. I broke up the band. I'm sleeping in an apartment in a Mexican ghetto in Colorado. I don't feel safe. I have no job, no friends, nobody like me. I turn to this Jesus and go, Jesus, what are you doing, man? You're supposed to provide for me. You're supposed to take care of me. Where's the money? And I had a voice inside of me just like you do. Who told you that? Who told you I said, I will always make you happy, healthy, and wealthy? People will always like you. No, well, you did. And he goes, show me. Well, I actually opened the Bible and it says things like, in this world you will have trouble. It actually says there's two builders. And no matter how you build on this planet, the rains will come, the storms will come, and the waters will rise. One of them won't fall and one will, but they're both gonna experience storms. AJ, that's what I said. That's who's riding into your life. Is one who always has your best interest in mind. I will use all things for good for those who love me and are called according to purpose, but not in the way you think. And somebody quoted me the other day. She said, it's amazing, like AJ said, she gave me some credit, which I appreciate. She goes, it's like AJ said, God's calling for things in the back of my life that I don't want to give him, instead of the stuff in the front. So this Jesus is saying this, I will work your sanctification. I will change you and grow you my way and my timing. All you've got to do is trust me. And the majority of people on planet Earth, by the way, spoiler alert to any of you here, there's 15 people here today, including my family. All these empty seats, do you know what they represent? People who've said, then I don't want that Jesus. I don't want the Jesus who gets to tell me what to do. Number two. Another thing we don't like about Jesus, he doesn't do all the things we want him to do, and he's got a standard. He says this, every day I'm conforming you to the image that you were meant to be in, which is the one that looks most like me. I'm telling you what to do with your bodies. I'm telling you what to do with the way you treat other people, with your substances, whatever. I'm not loving you based on how you perform in this area, but I'm not going to leave you the way you are. And this is what kills me as a pastor in some ways. If you're leaning on alcohol, weed, other people, food, we have this weird thing inside of me where I don't care that you do that. I care about you. I don't judge you for what you're doing, because God taught me something a long time ago. we're doing those things to make ourselves feel better and to survive this thing we call life. So how am I going to judge the way you get through life versus the way I get through life? But Jesus looks at you and goes, you're surviving. I want you thriving. I want to heal the thing that you're leaning that against booze. I want to heal the thing you're leaning against people pleasing. I want to heal that thing while you're going to food for comfort. Because if you need comfort, you're clearly hurting. I want to heal that. And people go, Jesus, I don't want you in my business. No. And so the very mouths that go, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, go, I got stuff I got to do. I don't want him up in my business. Don't tell me how to date people. Don't tell me what to do with my sexuality. I want to do what I want to do. You mean to tell me, you riding in, you think you have a better plan for my life than I do? I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I know what I'm doing. Now, granted, behind me is nothing but a mess. Broken relationships, and I'm not happy, but I still know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, did the human element just show up and call you an idiot? I think I just did. If you know what you're doing so well, then why does your life kind of suck? Why is it not where you want it to be? Could it be he knows a better way? Everybody in this room just got nailed, including me. AJ, you think you know how to deal with marriage? Do you want what your parents had? Oh, I do not. I do not. AJ, do you want the relationships you've had in the past? Oh, heck no, Lord. I'll clean up my language for you. No, Lord. Okay, so maybe I'm the one that gives you a better... Yes, but AJ, I don't just ride in to parts of your life. I ride into every area of your life. And so people go, you ready, Jen? They're like, start the car, I'm out of here, man. Start the car, I'm out of here. Now, let me soften up for a minute. Believe it or not. This is scary. I get it. I get it. I always talk about being in the office, but that's a big part of my life. What's scary is when God says you got to forgive your mom. You got to forgive your mom for not being there for you and for teaching you the stuff that still trickles down to your kids and creates problems. And when we choose to say, okay, you're right, and I'll do this very scary thing I don't want to do, that's faith. That's trusting his character. That's saying that the one who rides in right now, you are good, and I give myself to you. I trust you. You see why 9 out of 10 people aren't in? It's hard and it's scary. And listen, let me tell you something. I understand. It is hard. It's scary. The things... I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I really don't. But when I sit there and I get to be part of people looking through their hurts, why they're leaning on this, why they're leaning on that, why they're limited, it's a very scary prospect to truly open yourself up to somebody. But you remember what I've taught you before? Without vulnerability, there can be no intimacy. Some of you are walled off. It's my money, your money, and their money, and our time and our schedule, and you don't have intimacy, and you wonder why. You can't have intimacy without vulnerability. Let's go back to the molecular thing here. The only environment that intimacy grows is vulnerability. It is an ingredient of that there casserole. Do we get it? But it's scary because that person might hurt you. Let me tell you what marriage is. I'll use the lesser of weapons I have on me. Marriage is this. Here's a knife. Please don't use it to hurt me. I'm giving you all the ability to hurt me like nobody else has. Please don't do it. And you're not wrong for that. That's marriage. That's intimacy with your kids. All right, let me switch off that for a minute. Intimacy with your kids is this. Alex, I have failed you so often. Izzy, I have failed you so often. I've been short with you at times. I've been dismissive. Sometimes my words have been cutting, even though I try really hard not to. I've scared you at times. I've made you feel like I've been disappointed in you. I've failed you. I'm sorry. I'm a flawed guy. Daddy is not a safe guy for you to look up to. I'm not. When you see me, I want you to see a guy who won't quit. But don't look at, I'm no Superman. You understand? Do you know how hard that is as a dad to do that? Because I want them to look at me like, I want them to admire me and love me. But for me to be vulnerable like that and go, Daddy's a loser at times, man. I am. I lose. I take L's. I screw things up. You get it? That's so hard. But guess what? Intimacy, that can only come with your kids that way. Where when mommy freaks out or mommy can't get out of bed someday, they go, Mommy, I choose to accept you that way because you're not hiding it. We have intimacy in relationship. And some of you, I'm sorry, I wish you'd have heard this a long time ago. You know how to get close with your kids? Be authentically you and ask them to still accept you. Oh, the pain of a child who didn't know their parent authentically. Never got to sit at their table. It hurts. It hurts a lot. I'm covering a lot today, I'm sorry, but this is what God's doing. Let's round out by saying this. I want to give glory to Jesus in this right here. I want to take this out. I want to get out of the office for a second. There's a really cool podcast. A couple of you would like, I think. It was this cool pastor. He talks a lot like I do, which means he's a little unhinged. Wild branches. And but they actually free children from the worst kind of slavery that exists on the planet. They've freed hundreds of children from this all over the world. They have this huge organization, and it's amazing. And this guy has been face to face with a lot of the creatures that facilitate this stuff. He's had a lot of crazy stuff happen, and one of the big things he was talking about was, spiritual warfare. How are you going to let something in your house turn your lights on and off? If you're created in Christ, you go, why would you come here and turn my lights on and off? Is that supposed to scare me? What a baby thing to do. Where did you come from? You came all the way here to turn my lights on and off? Get it? We're supposed to know who we are. But is that the coffee maker? It's plugged in, isn't it? I meant to tell you, don't leave the coffee maker plugged in because it'll belch like that. So this guy faces down demons and entities, and he frees children from the worst slavery there is. And then he misquotes Jesus and goes, Jesus was afraid in the Garden of Gethsemane. And I went, how can you be so bombastic in this one area? And yet you have Jesus down here. Jesus was afraid. Fear is a sin, you guys, because fear is not having fear, but hanging